Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something huge, potentially game-changing for businesses, but yeah, definitely complex. Federal government contracting for newcomers.
That's right. We've been looking through some source material, basically a guide, a roadmap, if you will, for navigating this whole process. And it's a big landscape. I mean, the federal government spends, over $600 billion a year on contracts. It's not just, defense hardware.
Right, not just jets and stuff.
Exactly. It's everything. Office supplies, consulting, IT, construction, across 430 different agencies. Huge opportunity.
Wow, $600 billion. Okay. So our goal here is to really boil down the essentials from this roadmap, give you the key steps, the insights you absolutely need to get started.
Yep, cut through the noise and get to the core stuff.
All right, let's unpack this then. For a business owner just eyeing this massive market, what's hurdle number one? What does the source say you absolutely have to figure out first?
Okay, so the guide really hammers home this idea of foundational understanding, like assessing your own readiness first.
Readiness, meaning?
Meaning, do you have a solid track record? Can you actually prove you do good work? Can you meet the quality standards, which can be pretty strict?
Okay.
And financially, this is big. Can you handle payment delays? The source mentions 30, maybe 45 days is pretty standard. You need the cash flow. Plus, are you ready for all the paperwork? The compliance.
Right, so it's a reality check first. Don't just jump in. Assuming you pass that self-check, what about the official hoops? The registrations.
Ah, yes. The non-negotiables. The source is crystal clear here. First, obviously, be a legal business entity, get your EIN.
Standard stuff.
Standard stuff. But then, the big one. You must register in sam.gov. That's the system for award management.
Sam.gov. Okay.
That's where you get your UEI, your unique entity identifier. That replaced the old DUNS number. It's your main federal ID now. And your CAGE code, too. Commercial and Government Entity Code. It's mandatory. And you have to renew it every year.
Every year. Got it. So sam.gov is central. And once you're in SAM, how does the government know what you actually do? How do they categorize you?
Good question. That's the next vital piece. You need the right codes. NAICS codes, that's North American Industry Classification System, tells them your industry.
Okay.
And PSC codes, product service codes, specify the actual goods or services. You have to pick these carefully. And also determine your size standard, because a lot of contracts are set aside for small businesses.
Right. And small can mean different things depending on the industry, yeah.
Yep.
Based on revenue or employees.
Exactly. It varies a lot by your NAICS code. Crucial to know where you fit.
Okay, foundation laid, registered, coded. Now, where do you actually look for the work? How do you find these opportunities?
Well, the source points to a few key places. sam.gov, again, is the main bulletin board for most opportunities.
Makes sense.
But also, check individual agency websites. They often post their own forecasts or needs. And especially for new folks, the source suggests looking at subcontracting.
Oh, like partnering up with a bigger company that already has a contract.
Exactly. It's a really practical way to get your foot in the door, build that all-important past performance record.
That sounds smart. So for that very first contract, maybe it was a prime or sub, any advice on where to aim? Don't try to win the huge billion-dollar deal right away.
Definitely not. The advice is start small, start strategic. Look at contracts under the $250,000 mark. That's often simplified acquisition.
Okay.
Find work that's clearly in your wheelhouse, similar to stuff you already do commercially. Lower complexity. Play to your strengths first.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Build confidence, build experience. Now, say you find one that looks right. How do you introduce yourself? What's your business resume for the government?
That's where your capability statement comes in. The source calls it a critical one-page marketing tool. Super important.
One page. So it has to be concise.
Very. It needs your company overview, your core competencies, what you do best, definitely relevant past performance, ideally with results, what makes you different, and all that key contract info. CAGE, UEI, NAICS codes, any certifications. It's your snapshot.
Your essential calling card, basically.
Okay.
What about potential traps? Does the source warn about common mistakes new contractors make?
Yeah, it highlights a couple of big ones, mostly financial. One is just underestimating the total cost. It's not just the project work, it's compliance, admin, overhead, all that.
Right, hidden costs.
And the other, tying back to readiness, is poor cash flow planning because of those payment delays we mentioned, the 30, 45 days. Not being ready for that gap can really hurt a small business.
Okay, so tracing it back. Start with being honest about your readiness. Get properly registered in sam.gov, classify yourself correctly, find those smaller strategic opportunities, maybe through subcontracting first, and then pitch yourself clearly with that capability statement.
That really sums up the core path from the source material. And the main message, loud and clear, is that winning takes work. Preparation, persistence, strategy. It's not going to happen overnight.
Absolutely. And that first contract win, it's more than just revenue, isn't it? It's about building your reputation, proving yourself, and really opening doors for future work in that huge federal market.
Which does lead to a really interesting thought for you, the listener. If success really depends on that persistence and you will face setbacks, how do you actually cultivate the resilience needed to navigate those challenges, those rejections, and just keep going?
This podcast was brought to you by GovtoolsPro. Win easily.